Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. Now, Boss have sent me a couple of pedals to play with. They've sent me a Boss SD-1, the 40th anniversary, and they've sent me a Metal Zone. Now, when I opened the packet, I sort of had this panic because I'm not a metal guitar player. So what does a non-metal player do with a Metal Zone? Now, what I'm going to do in this video is to link it up to the Neural DSP Quad Cotex and use the Metal Zone really how it's supposed to be used, or really how it's often used with a traditional amp. There's a common misconception with a Metal Zone. What people tend to do is to plug the guitar into the Metal Zone, out of the Metal Zone into the front of the amp. So I've got a standard sort of Fender clean style amp. I'm going to load this up. So the amp sounds like this. Now if I bring the Metal Zone in, it sounds absolutely terrible. When people pick up a Metal Zone, they plug it into the front of an amp, that's the sort of sound you get. It's this horrible, over-crushy sort of sound that's basically breaking down the front of the amp. Because basically the Metal Zone is a preamp pedal. I'm going to take that amp out, so what I've done is to basically put the Metal Zone in the loop of the Quad Cotex. The Metal Zone is going to be acting as the preamp. So if I go through the chain, then I'm going into a speaker, then I'm going into a delay, and lastly I'm going into a reverb. So now we get a sound like this. As you can hear, there's a lot of noise coming from this pedal as it's a high gain pedal. Let's turn that off for the moment. So what I'm going to do is to put in a noise gate. Let's just use a simple gate. Let's turn it up a bit. Let's have a look at some of the controls on the Metal Zone. The EQ on this pedal is absolutely insane. What I'm going to do is to set everything back to 12 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock it sounds like this. There's dual concentric pots for bass and treble. And you've also got this mid control as well, which is absolutely insane. So what I'm going to do first of all is just to increase the top end. And you'll see just by adjusting it a tiny amount what a difference it makes. And I'm also going to bring in some bass, which is this bottom control on this dual concentric knob. The thing that I really like about this pedal is how good the mid control is, because basically we've got this mid frequency control where we can choose the frequency we want and then we can cut and boost it, and again it makes a massive difference just by touching the control. To say that I think in this tone we've got a little bit too much low mid, I can bring this control all the way back to 200 and then cut a bit. Right, now we've done that, we've lost a bit of bottom end, but because I've shaved off that 200 frequency, I can increase the bottom end here. Now, as I said, it is a high gain pedal. You can bring back the gain if I do that. But it still has that metal sort of sound to it. Now, as I brought back the gain, it's taken off a bit of bottom end. So let's just increase that again. And if I take the gain all the way off, and even though I brought the gain all the way back, it's still got quite a lot of gain on there. Let's bring it up to halfway again. The Quad Cotex has a load of Boss emulation pedals built into it. So let's see how good the Quad Cotex metal zone is compared to the real thing. Here's what the real pedal sounds like. Let's turn that off. And here's what the Quad Cotex emulation sounds like. Which is massively different. Let's bring up the level a bit, the high end. And the real pedal. The Quad Cotex does an alright job, but it doesn't really capture the full sound of the actual pedals. What I might do at some point is to capture this pedal and put it inside the Quad Cotex. I still haven't answered what I would do as a non-metal player with a metal zone. So what I'm going to do now is just to change around some of the sounds inside the Quad Cotex and just come up with a sound that I would use the metal zone for. The first thing I would do is to add another noise gate after that speaker. So let's do that first. And now what I'm going to do is to add in a pitch octaver just after that. Right, let's bring back the dry mix a little bit. And the octave. And let's turn the sub up a bit as well. And that sounds like this. It is a great sounding pedal. If you're a metal guy, this is definitely worth checking out. Do you know, Boss have sold over 1 million of these units, so it just shows you how popular it is. Anyway, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. I really hope you guys got something out of that. If you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe, click on the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.